All right, the Delhi Chief Minister and AAP Supremo Arvind Kejriwal clearly drawing from Indira Gandhi saying, "Mera khoon ka ek katra desh ke kaam aayega." But you know what is important is, Akhil, that two things come out of what Arvind Kejriwal said in his defense. One, that he's under legal advice, and the legal advice is that the summons are invalid and illegal. Two, that there is a political game happening to stop him from campaigning, if need be by arresting him, and that's why these summons. But Akhil, tell us, what have Magunta Reddy and Sharath Babu told the Enforcement Directorate? Because the Delhi Chief Minister, in his defense, chose to absolutely not mention whatever the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court have said on this case through the bail applications of both Sanjay Singh and Manish Sisodia. So what have Magunta Reddy and Sharath Babu have in fact told the Enforcement Directorate, which makes your sources confident that the Delhi Chief Minister should submit himself to questioning?
Well, absolutely, Abhishek. If you see the different angles attached to it, the first part which we are talking about, that Magunta Reddy, he basically had a call with Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and regarding that first time there have been talks that Magunta Reddy wanted to meet Kejriwal, and apart from that, several others were also involved in this entire excise policy case. And what we have been learning from our sources that not only Magunta Reddy, apart from that, the nexus of the South group was also involved in that. And this is what the original charge sheet of ED has said, that there have been a quid pro quo and a fair exchange of things which has happened, because Mr. Kejriwal has been, this is what BJP has been claiming, that Kejriwal is trying to use this as an opportunity, and he is trying to play the politics of victimization. He has been saying that there have been no transactions which have been done physically or through the electronic means, and this is what Mr. Kejriwal's claim is. And apart from that, if you see the second side of the story, that BJP is claiming that Kejriwal must not be directly involved in this, but he was the mastermind, he was the kingpin who through which the entire nexus was running. Because what we have been seeing that the excise policy, which was the new excise policy which was implemented earlier, have been taken back, and that decision was withdrawn because of that. Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, Akhil, I'm told that Shravan is in fact joining us also live from the newsroom, and he in fact brought this information earlier, including this exclusive input about approvers having taken Kejriwal's name as the key person taking all the decisions. In fact, Shravan, you got this information also that Republic brought to the viewers that the draft policy, which came under cloud and which ultimately became Liquategate, was in fact handed over to the secretary at that time, Arvind Kumar, in the very presence of Chief Minister Kejriwal at his residence. So obviously there are witnesses, Shravan, to the fact that the policy had approval from Arvind Kejriwal himself, and despite that, he continues to be in denial about that.
Well, Abhishek, before I specifically answer that question, let's also make that attempt for all our viewers to perhaps demystify this, because you have Aam Aadmi Party with a large number of followers, essentially telling the public that, look here, Arvind Kejriwal has been called in for questioning, and the enforcement director does not even tell him that whether he is a witness or he is a suspect. Now, let me clarify this. While Arvind Kejriwal may not want to talk about this, the reality is this. Under the provisions of the PMLA, unlike in the case of IPC or the CRPC, there is only one type of summon that has been sent out. And in that one type of summon, there is no mention of whether you are a witness or a suspect. When does that decision essentially is taken by the agency? When the examination takes place. For instance, Magunta Reddy, who was actually initially called in for question, he wasn't told that he's going to be a witness in the case. Over a period of time, as he started cooperating with the agency and provided the agency with more information, so is the case of Sharath and few other approvers. That is when the agency took the call that whether at all they want to continue the with them as an approver in this particular case. An application was thereafter filed in the court, and it's the court which decides whether you're going to be an approver in the case or not. Similarly, as far as witness or suspect is concerned, that is a call that is taken at a much later stage. Also, let's make this distinction that right now, no one is essentially saying that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is an accused in this particular case. So why exactly was Arvind Kejriwal sent multiple summons? Now, this is the reason why. The three-part breaking that we've had, getting into specific details as to why Arvind Kejriwal was called in for questioning. Reason number one, they are looking at the funding allegedly received by the Aam Aadmi Party. The ED pegs it to about 100 crore rupees. This was during the Goa elections. In fact, they say the large part of the amount was actually used for outdoor broadcast in advertising that was going on, banners that were largely used. Now, to basically corroborate this, there were some AAP functionaries who were actually called in for questioning. We are not going to name those AAP functionaries because we do not know whether they are witnesses in the case, but I can only tell you this much, Abhishek, the two top Aam Aadmi Party functionaries who have already been named in the charge sheet, they have admitted that it is Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, who takes all the calls as far as the party affairs are concerned. That is the reason why, as the party head, the convener, or whatever you may call him, Arvind Kejriwal would have been given the opportunity to explain, is it ill-gotten money that was actually used for Goa elections? That is for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to answer. Second very important aspect is with regards to the draft policy. Now remember the draft policy. What is the allegation that has been leveled? That without much consultation, the profit margin was basically bumped up from 5% to 12%. So the margin difference that we are talking about, that is what they believe was the quid pro quo, or the money that was received as a kickback. Now that draft policy, a handwritten note, was prepared by the then Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia. He made a call to the Secretary, Mr. C. Arvind, and asked him to reach the Chief Minister's residence. In the presence of Arvind Kejriwal, that note was presented to C. Arvind, saying that this is what the liquor policy is going to look like. Now, Arvind Kejriwal would have been given the opportunity once again to explain whether there is any truth to this matter or not. The third aspect, and which is the crucial aspect, I must say, because this is an information which hasn't gone out as yet, Abhishek, I've spoken to my sources. It turns out that there was a meeting that took place between two approvers, that is Magunta as well as Sharat Babu, with Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. And let me also remind our viewers, we do not know, let me underscore the point, we do not know what transpired in the meeting. This is only what Mr. Kejriwal can actually tell the enforcement director what was the purpose of the meeting. It could be anything else, may not be even to do with liquor policy. It could be for something else altogether, but we do not know at this point in time. Neither does the agency know what was the meeting all about. Arvind Kejriwal only can explain this before the enforcement director whenever he chooses to appear. The other aspect is with regards to the phone call, the alleged phone call that was made between Samir Mahindra, who is an accused in this case, with another accused called, who's the communication manager of the party, that is Vijay Nair, a FaceTime call that was made between all three of them, in which Samir Mahindra claims, let me also make this point very clear, it's a claim that has been made by Samir Mahindra that the call was with Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal introduces Vijay Nair as his boy. That could be in any context, may not be to do with anything to do with liquor policy. So the net, the question here is that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal can simply put up any defense as he wants. But unless he really appears before the enforcement directorate, that clarity would not come. And also it is laughable when a political party with some responsibility makes those assertions late last evening, saying that, look here, there's going to be a raid that is going to be carried out. Enforcement directorate is under immense pressure. Arrest will actually take place. For even someone like me who's been covering the central agency for almost a decade right now, even we do not know till the last moment whether the arrest is going to take place or not. It only perhaps Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Atishi only have better sources within the enforcement director to actually get a tip-off of this nature, saying that there are going to be raids that are going to be carried out, arrest is going to take place, and arrest cannot take place, Abhishek, unless the examination takes place, because the enforcement directorate as a federal agency it is incumbent on the agency to prove it before the court that the custodial interrogation of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is of utmost importance. Otherwise, remember, the agency will be falling flat on their face if they are unable to really explain this before the court.